It was New Year's Eve, and I found myself once again walking alone through the streets. Everyone else seemed to be with someone, friends, lovers, family, laughing, celebrating, their faces lit by the bright flashes of fireworks in the sky. And there I was, just another soul in the crowd, trying to get through the night. I'd moved to this city a while ago, leaving everything behind, the familiar, the comforting. And tonight, it felt like all that loneliness had somehow gathered around me like a weight, pulling me down. I made my way to the bus stop, a small part of me hoping the night would pass quickly. But, like always, my mind wandered to those same questions. Why had I chosen this? Why had I come here, to a place so far from everything I knew? The fireworks were loud, their bursts of color filling the night sky, but they couldn't drown out the emptiness I felt. When the bus finally arrived, it was nearly empty. I stepped on, grateful for the quiet, the stillness of the vehicle. I found a seat near the back and pulled my coat tighter around me, hoping the ride would be uneventful. But as I settled in, I noticed them. A couple, sitting a few rows behind me. They looked normal at first. Just another couple out on a night like any other. The woman wore large sunglasses, even though it was way past sunset. She didn't seem to notice anything around her, her smile fixed on her face, almost too wide, almost too perfect. Her boyfriend sat beside her, his grin too broad, his eyes a little too intense. I could feel him watching me, though he didn't say a word. I tried to ignore it, focused on the hum of the bus and the feeling of the cold wind against the glass. But then, the man spoke. "Happy New Year," he said. "You're alone tonight, huh?" I turned slightly, unsure how to respond. "Yeah, just me, I guess," I said, trying to keep it light. His smile didn't fade. It only seemed to grow, as though he had something he wanted to say, but didn't. I glanced at the woman beside him. Her eyes were still hidden behind those dark glasses, but I could feel something off about her. She wasn't looking at me, or at anything, really. She just stared into the space in front of her, her gaze distant, vacant. "You should come with us sometime," the man said, leaning in closer, his voice too soft. "We know how to have a good time. You'd fit right in." I wasn't sure how to respond, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. "I'm not really the party type," I replied, trying to back away from the conversation. But the man's grin only grew wider. "You'd change your mind," he said, his voice lingering in the air like a warning. I looked away, trying to ignore him, but then something caught my eye. The woman's head, it was so subtle at first, but I saw it. Her neck twisted just, a little too far to the side, an unnatural movement that made my stomach drop. I thought I imagined it at first. Maybe I was just tired, or maybe I was overthinking things. But when I glanced back at her, her smile was still fixed. Her eyes were hidden behind the glasses, but it didn't make the moment feel any less strange. The man didn't seem to notice anything at all. His eyes were locked on me, like he was studying me, sizing me up. His grin was unnervingly wide, almost predatory. "Like I said, you'd fit right in," he said again, his voice lower this time. I didn't know what to say. I could feel my body stiffen, a cold sweat forming at the back of my neck. I glanced at the woman again. Something about her was wrong. Her smile wasn't right, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't really there. The bus hit a bump, a sudden jerk that made everyone on board shift. I looked back at her, and that's when it happened. Her head. She snapped it to the side, all the way around, a full 180 degrees. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. I swear I could hear the blood pounding in my ears. Her eyes, those wide vacant eyes, she was staring directly at me, unblinking, as if she could see through me, as if she could see everything. I quickly looked away, trying to pretend I hadn't seen it. but I couldn't. I couldn't forget it. I tried to focus on the road outside, the dim streetlights flicking past, but the weight of that stare, the way her head had twisted, was too much. My hands gripped the seat, knuckles white. And then the man spoke again, his voice dripping with something I couldn't quite place. "You know, you look really good tonight," he said, leaning closer, his breath hot against the cold air. "I'd definitely take you out if you came with us. We know how to have fun." I didn't know how to respond. I just nodded, not trusting my voice. "Thanks," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I forced myself to look at the woman again. Her head was still turned, her eyes staring into mine. It felt like she was staring right through me into some deep, dark part of myself that I didn't want anyone to see. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, her mouth opened. Slowly, at first, and then wider, impossibly wide. The sight of her teeth, sharp and jagged, made my skin crawl. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move. My body felt frozen. The man didn't seem to notice. He was still grinning, still watching me. "She's having a rough night," he said, like it was an excuse for what was happening. "She could use some help. You should help us get her home." I didn't know what to say. My stomach was turning, the air around me thick with fear. I shook my head. "I don't know you. I'm not helping you." The man's smile didn't falter, but his eyes narrowed and I saw something shift in them, something dark. "You'll help," he said, his voice cold now. "I'm telling you." My pulse quickened. The bus hit another bump, and for a brief moment, I thought it was over. But then, snap, the woman's head twisted again, so fast, so wrong, that I thought I might pass out. "No," I said, louder this time. "I won't help you." His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist with an iron grip. "You will," he growled. "You'll do as I say." Panic surged through me. I pulled, I tugged, but his grip was too strong. The woman's mouth was now stretched into a grotesque grin. Her eyes wide and unblinking, the blood beginning to trickle from the corners of her eyes. I couldn't take it anymore. I wrenched myself free, stumbling toward the door. The man didn't stop me. His eyes followed me, but he didn't move. "Get off the bus," the driver shouted suddenly, his voice sharp. "Now." The man stood up, his grin still plastered on his face. Without a word, he picked the woman up. Her eyes never left mine, even as they walked off the bus. The doors closed behind them, and the bus drove away. I don't know how I made it home that night. The images, those eyes, that twisted grin, kept replaying in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me. It wasn't until the next morning that I saw the news. They were looking for a man and a woman, missing persons, something about disappearances, something about death. And then I saw their pictures. I knew their faces. I knew them. The man, the woman. But worse than that, I couldn't stop thinking about those eyes, the ones that were still on me, still staring. And I wonder every day if I ever truly left that bus, if they're still watching me.